Hey, you guys, as promised, I said I would cover if Justin Trudeau decided to, resign today. Now, I will have the caveat and tell you guys I am not Canadian. I am from Indiana. So I don't have a good grasp on particularly what this means for Canadians. Okay. So I am not going to tell you what this means. I will read you some articles. We'll listen to Mr. Justin Trudeau. But I am putting out these caveats that this is not my country. And, I'm not quite sure what all of this means for Canadians. Preachy Peaches, I think that we will go in. Now, as far as I know, and as a person who has kind of followed some Canadian politics, I do know that there have been many scandals involving, government payouts to private contributors and things like that. But I also know that the economy is the same economy down here, but I also know that, inflation seems to be a bit worse up in Canada, and there's a lot of things. Do not know if he's gonna go back to his fatherland, uh, but it does seem to be, uh maybe he's gonna go back to drama. I don't know. I'm sure Runkle will cover this. This is not a parody. This is actually on from the AP, so this is not me making fun of people. This actually happened, so let's play the video. Just trying.
Generosity and the determination. Every morning I've woken up as Prime Minister. I've been inspired by the resilience, generosity, and the determination of Canadians. It is the driving force of every single day I have the privilege of serving in this office. That is why, since 2015, I've fought for this country, for you, to strengthen and grow the middle class. Why we rallied to support each other through the pandemic, to advance reconciliation.
I'm trying to get him.
On this continent,
I have him boosted.
Ukraine and our democracy, and to fight climate change and get our economy ready for the future.
Now, I do know, again, from my understandings, and I am not Canadian, but there's also been a lot of controversy about the carbon tax. Justin has been very, very aggressive at going after sort of net zero and climate change, and that has real costs on production and everything. But I have boosted him as high as I can go. And there are no closed caption. So let me go back because I was talking over him.
Democracy, and to fight climate change and get our economy ready for the future. We are at a critical moment in the world. Mes chers Canadiens, à chaque matin, je me suis réveillé en tant que Premier ministre.
Oh, holy crap, you guys. I thought I was having a stroke. I forgot that Canada is bilinguals. Let me check another feed to see if they've got captions. CBS would probably. So let's see if this is CBC, so this is Canadian Public Broadcast. So they will probably have closed captions.
Unemployment's nearly 7%. Growth is flat.
No, they don't.
And declining. There's some real economic headwinds the country is facing, and that is a big reason why, even though those conditions change, the political conditions
very, very true.
Yeah, and of course the criticism that the government didn't move fast enough to respond to some of those issues around affordability and the cost of living. Something that they did try to do, as you'll remember, before Christmas with the GST holiday, which is still in.
Why is he looking? Okay, here's my question to Canadians. And maybe this is a Canadian thing, but why does he look so damn happy? He's basically being all but tarred and feathered. And he's out there smiling like he's for a Crest commercial. Maybe that's just me.
Bon matin. Every morning I've woken up as Prime Minister. I've been inspired
Thank you, Chris.
by the resilience, the generosity, and the determination of Canadians. It is the driving force of every single day I have the privilege of serving in this office. That is why, since 2015, I've fought for this country, for you, to strengthen and grow the middle class. Why we rallied to support each other through the pandemic, to advance reconciliation.
Okay, as an American watching from the outside, what it looked like you did on the pandemic was tell truck drivers who were essentially driving by themselves that if they didn't want to get the poke, that they were enemies of the state. Again, it could have been completely different in Canada, but oh my goodness, did it seem like he was a jerk and a half to truckers who were basically just out there. He basically sent in the horse police. That's what it looked like from the outside looking in. Again, not Canadian, so not going to say anything else more than it looked really bad from the outside looking, in.
Defend free trade on this continent, to stand strong with Ukraine and our democracy, and to fight climate change and get our economy ready for the future. We are at a critical moment in the world. Mes chers Canadiens, à chaque matin, je me suis réveillé.
Each and every morning, I woke up as Prime Minister, inspired by the resilience, generosity, and determination that characterizes us so well as.
Question to the Canadians in the chat. When you hear it spoken by a nice lady in the hostage negotiating voice, does it sound less like bullshit? Asking for a friend, asking for an American, because it never sounds less like bullshit when they have the ASL person and I'm watching C-SPAN. But I didn't want to. I did want to know if this would, cross country.
Canadians. This is what motivates me each and every day.
Thank you, Zach, for your super chat, and I've got to write that down because I've got to find.
This is why, since 2015, I have fought for this country and for you to strengthen the middle class.
This is fake news. It's true, but dough.
We have mobilized as Canadians to support each other during the pandemic in order to advance reconciliation, in order to defend free trade on our continent, for our support of Ukraine and democracy, and to fight against climate change and to prepare the economy for the future. We are going through.
Oh goodness, fun dying. I did not know that. We got treated bad certain places here in the US. Some truck stops didn't even let us in the store to use the bathroom. That's so dumb. Ugh. Chris, I was wondering, but he looks exactly like young Fidel. Hopefully he goes back to his fatherland. Just saying, for a friend.
A critical time.
My friends, as you all know, I'm a fighter. Every bone in my body has always told me to.
I thought he was a drama teacher. He's a fighter too? Was that in Caucasian face or slightly tanner face? Did he have shoe polish on when he was fighting this fight? Was he cosplaying as Muhammad Ali? Question.
Fight because I care deeply about Canadians. I care deeply about this country, and I will always be motivated by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And the fact is, despite best efforts to work through it, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history. That's why this morning, I advised the Governor General that we need a new session of Parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th.
Okay, so I'm going to look this up because I am not familiar with. It would help if I spelled this right. All right, prorogued Parliament. Prorogation is a period between the end of a parliamentary session of Parliament and the beginning of a new session, which begins with the state opening of Parliament. By current practice, Parliament is prorogued by commissioners acting in the sovereign's name. Parliament is always prorogued to a definite day. Prorogation is the end of a parliamentary session in Parliament of Canada and the parliaments of its provinces and territories. So does this basically mean that this dude shut down government until the Liberals can find someone else to run it? I guess Canadians in the chat, does the government simply stop all but essential functions? Or do we just get a new Senate? Do you, in fact, vote for all new people? This is insanity.
Fourth. Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my
Thank
career,
you, Star.
any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the president.
So this isn't even, I am going to resign now. I am going to resign when you find a leader. Now, I don't know what kind of backbench the Liberal Party has. I know that Jagmeet Singh, look, have grace on a Hoosier trying to learn this, is part of the NDP. And I know he was part of a coalition with the Liberal government in order to have, a government. They do have a parliamentary system in Canada, so there are more than two parties. I don't know how the Liberals are going to come up with leadership, but basically he is still going to be the prime minister until they have a leader. And thank you so much, Caroline B. I need to find where I put my tags when I was being all, on top of things, which I cannot remember. So I will put those. As you guys can see, here in the back, I do have the new shadow board if I move my Fox News hair. And then I have the old one that Mr. Mo is going to be putting up if he recovers from shoveling snow. And thank you for the super chat. Start the new year out with a bang. Yes, we have. Now, from what I understand, Pierre Poilievre, see, I don't know if it's Pierre Poilievre or Pierre Poilievre. He is part of the Conservative Party, so I don't know that they can make him just the leader. I don't know. But let's continue. Apparently he's taking his toys home and he's not going to play until someone else is the leader.
To the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. Mes chers amis, comme vous savez,
Dear
je suis un
friends,
fighter.
as you know, I
Dans
am
mon
a
fort
fighter.
intérieur, je me suis toujours battu parce que je me soucie
Deep inside, I've always fought because I care deeply about Canadians.
toujours motivé.
And I will always be motivated by what is in the best interest of Canadians. The fact is that despite all efforts to get through this time, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in our country's history. And that is why this morning I met with the Governor General to tell her that we needed a new session of Parliament. She accepted my request, and so the House of Commons will be prorogued until March 24th. During the holidays, and I had the opportunity to reflect and to have long talks.
Cuppa Joe, he seemed like a great PM. Is this about him being left? I have no idea if Mo's channel is right wing. So I am neither wing. I am a Lewis Blackian. I believe that Republicans suck and Democrats blow. Now, I also don't push my views on anyone else. But, if anything I say or that comes out of my mouth hole offends you and you feel like not subbing, completely understand. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I just kind of call balls and strikes like I see them. I'm just a common sense person and I say what I say. Whether that aligns with a particular side, I am not sure. But I do know that he's had a number of scandals. Chrystia Freeland, his finance minister, resigned after he was going to push her out for another person. So I will say that I think based on his approval numbers, I'm not Canadian. I don't have a dog in this fight. Uh, so that being said, I can't vote for him. I can't not vote for him. I can't vote for the next person that comes in. But from what I've seen, he's not been particularly a responsive leader to a lot of people who are the common man. So who knows? But let's continue to hear him say things in French.
Talks with my family with regards to our future. Throughout my career, all my success is due to their support and to their encouragements. So last night over dinner, I told my kids what I am telling you here today. I will resign as leader of the Liberal Party of Canada and as Prime Minister after the party will have selected its next leader after a rigorous, competitive, and national process. Last night, I asked the president of the Liberal Party to begin this
for the
process.
gifted membership, and that went to Captain
Our
Kern.
country deserves a
Congratulations.
real choice during the next election, and it's become obvious for me that if I have to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best choice. The Liberal Party of Canada is an important institution in the history of our great country and our democracy. A new Prime Minister and leader of the party will carry forth the ideas
I
and the
do have an
values of the
article
Liberal
pulled up.
Party
I will
during the
try
next
to
election.
find that
I'm
out.
looking forward to watching this process unfold over the following months. We were elected in 2021 for a third mandate to reinforce the economy after the pandemic and to advance the interests of Canada in a complex world.
You are welcome,
that
Patrick
is
W.
exactly
I
what
figure
I will
everyone
continue to do
needed a break.
and what we will continue to do for Canadians.
The Liberal Party of Canada is an important institution in the history of our great country and democracy. A new Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party will carry its values and ideals into that next election. I'm excited to see the process unfold in the months ahead.
Sir, your excited face looks like you're about ready to cry. But as one former theater kid to another, you have the perfect setup for that lone tear right here. But the tear mostly stays in your eye. So you look all manly, but it's right here, going down just right here. You couldn't hold it back. Your joy is radiating, sir, as you try to hold back your ugly crying.
We were elected for the third time in 2021 to strengthen the economy post-pandemic and advance Canada's interests in a complicated world. And that is exactly the job that I and we will continue to do for Canadians. Merci beaucoup, mes amis.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now go to questions, starting with Laurence Martin, Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau.
Hello, Mr. Trudeau.
Vous vouliez le faire, ce combat contre Pierre
You wanted
Poilievre,
to
des
have
batailles internes, il y en a dans votre
an
parti
election
depuis
with
plusieurs mois
Pierre
déjà.
Poilievre as your
Comment est-ce
opponent.
que vous
There have been
décidez
internal
d'abdiquer
battles for a
maintenant?
while.
Qu'est-ce qui vous a fait
Why
ce
are you
piège?
giving up now? What made you change your mind?
Comme vous savez, je suis pas
As you
quelqu'un
know,
qui recule facilement
I
devant un
don't
combat,
easily back down
surtout un combat
faced
si
with a
important
fight,
pour
especially
notre
a very
parti.
important one for our party and for the country.
Mais
But
je fais ce job
I do this job because the interests of Canadians and the well-being of our democracy is something that I hold dear.
And here's the point for I'm gonna speak as just an everyday mom who goes to the store. And yeah, I'm from the Midwest. Yeah, I'm American. But I can imagine there are Canadians sitting at home who have to, choose between a liter of gas and heating their home that didn't appreciate when you went to a Swiftie concert or jetting off places. It's not often the big things that really tick people, common sense people off. It's often these shows of I can't figure out. I have had to go down from even great value brand versus even regular things, and he's over here going to a Swiftie concert. He's going, on these airplane trips to do nothing. That's what ticks off real people. You know, being slick, feel like you're being lied to every day, told that your problems don't matter, that, the economy's great. America faced a reckoning, their media and a lot of things. And this is just common sense. This is common sense doesn't have a party. Common sense has, no home politically. But we do get pissed off when we can't afford groceries, when we have to save up to buy our kids tennis shoes, and you're off jetting off to another conference to talk about the war on, whatever. Stop. We're a little bit tired. We want to be listened to. You're supposed to work for us.
And it's become clear to me that I cannot be the leader during the next elections due to internal battles.
As you all know, I am a fighter, and I am not someone who backs away from a fight, particularly when a fight is as important as this one is. But I have always been driven by my love for Canada, by my desire to serve Canadians, and by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And Canadians deserve a real choice in the next election. And it has become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election.
You've been in power for nearly 10 years. Canada has changed with your government. If there's one accomplishment that you're the most proud of, I know there are several, but perhaps the thing you are most proud of, and maybe one regret? Answer. In 2015, we were elected on a promise to work for the middle class in this country. And that is what we did.
To cover that story, but
we reduced the level of poverty. We helped
some of the
families.
details I'm still having to process
We
them.
created an economy that works.
So I do want to encourage you. It's not an easy story to look at, but I think all of us need to wake up. I know it is in Britain. I know Steph the nerd, Steph the ultra nerd, I think I'm saying that correctly, did a video about this. She is from the UK. Please, look into this story. We need more voices. We need voices that empower, the people in the UK to feel like they have support from across the pond. It's a problem that definitely needs to be taken care of. I'm just trying to digest all the information and, address it sensitively. Also, not being from England, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. It's kind of like I've put out this caveat here that I'm not American, or that I'm American, I'm not Canadian. So, this isn't something I can speak from personal experience about. Thank you. Steph, the ultra nerd, she's doing more political stuff now. It's definitely something that we need to get some light shined on it. But let's continue to his questions and see what he is proud of.
For many more people, while preparing for the future, a more digital future.
I try every day.
For a world where climate change will have a greater impact. We've done a lot of work with Canadians, and Canada is better off due to the work that we've all done over the past few years. A regret? I continue to think that if our electoral system had been changed so that people would be able to have a first, second, and third choice on the ballot, parties would have spent more time looking at their points in common to be the second or third choice of voters rather than to see this polarization.
Patrick W., I will say, as far as Mexico, from again being a political junkie, but take it with a grain of salt. It looks like Mexico's incoming first female president has agreed to work with incoming President-elect Donald Trump on securing the border and things like that. So it looks like the tariff threat worked on that end. And I don't know that we're going to have any sort of issues with Mexico as far as leadership. What I will tell you is that they did a survey. I don't know if it was formal or not, and this is scuttlebutt, so take it with like a pound of salt, that the fifth highest employer in Mexico now is cartels. Now, I heard that, I think, on Patrick Bet-David's show, but don't quote me on that. But that is what I've heard. Let's go back to Justin Trudeau's accomplishments.
But I could not unilaterally change our ballot system.
We got elected in 2015 to fight for the middle class, and that's exactly what we've done over the past years. We reduced their taxes, we increased the benefits to families, we made sure the economy was focused on working for everyone and not just a few, and that has changed. That has dropped poverty rates in Canada, that has brought more people into the workforce, that has moved us forward on reconciliation in a way that has deeply improved the opportunities and success of Canadians, despite the incredibly difficult times the world is going through right now. There's lots more work to be done, and I know that this party and this country and Canadians will keep doing it. If I have one regret, particularly as we approach this election, well, there are probably many regrets that I will think of, but I do wish that we'd been able to change the way we elect our governments in the
Okay, question. I have always been told that Justin Trudeau has the dreamiest hair. Did he fire his stylist? Because I was told as a kind of outsider, American, that he had the bestest hair. He looks like when my boys pretend to brush their hair but don't use the brush in the mornings.
this country so that people could simply choose a second choice or a third choice on the same ballot, so that parties would spend more time trying to be people's second or third choices, and people would have been looking for things they have in common instead of trying to polarize and divide Canadians against each other. I think in this time, figuring
Hey, just a random person who watched all the videos of the Canadian truckers. Didn't you call them associates of a little-known Austrian painter of the 1930s who kind of hailed from Austria? I mean, didn't you call a whole bunch of Canadians that, including a Jewish conservative member that you had to apologize to, or at least kind of crawled out of an apology to, because she also went to the trucking, I guess the trucker convoy, and you called her a supporter of Mr. Hankety Clankety, who liked Hugo Boss and Volkswagen? Because I remember seeing that. I will tell you guys, as an American, I want to bring your parliamentary, back and forth, clapping, booing. I want to bring that to America. Other than that, he didn't apologize to that other, I guess, PM minister, senator, congressperson, but he didn't apologize to her. Okay. Yes, he also froze the bank accounts and imprisoned some of the truckers, but he called a fellow parliamentarian a hankety-clankety supporter when she's a practicing Jewish woman, as you do.
Figuring out how to pull together and find common ground remains something that is really important for democracies. But I could not change unilaterally without support of other parties our electoral system. That wouldn't have been responsible.
Prochaine question.
Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star. Prime Minister, up until 3 weeks ago, you were intending to stay, and it seems that the event 3 weeks ago of Ms. Freeland coming out and saying you were firing her as your finance minister was the catalyst that brought us here today. So can you explain your side of what happened there?
Chrystia has been by my side for close to 10 years now. She has been an incredible political partner through just about everything we have done as a
Not
government
yet.
And as a party over the past decade.
Oh, that's a dirty trick. So now, again, as a political nerd, I generally don't try to let it out on this channel because I try to stay apolitical. But right there, that was pretty dirty. Trudeau just now married Chrystia Freeland to every single failed policy that he had. He is, in fact, underlining right now that she was an architect along with him of all of the policies that Canadians or most Canadians do not like. So that was kind of interesting there because he wanted to fire Chrystia Freeland because this from the political man who said the economy will balance itself. Now, Chrystia Freeland has made many faux pas on a global scale, but she also has been very non-responsive to the everyday, questions and needs of real Canadians. And he was going to have a retired banker. His name escapes me right now, but he was going to move in to the finance role, and she was going to move into, I think, women and children or something. Now, I will say, Colleen, I will have to look more deeply into this. This is what I'm getting from what I have only skimmed through. So I am not an expertologist in Canadiology, governmentology, not all at all. But this is just the news, and I'm a news
really
channel.
That she would agree to continue as my deputy prime minister and take on one of the most important files that not just this government, but this country is facing. But she chose otherwise. In regards to what actually happened, I am not someone who's in the habit of sharing private conversations. Chrystia a été depuis presque 10 ans maintenant.
Chrystia was by my side for nearly 10 years. She was a political partner, a crucial political partner, given everything that we've gone through as a party and as a government. And I really would have wanted for her to choose to continue as my deputy prime minister.
So I will say, from an outsider looking in, this is very much mirroring sort of how President Biden nominated or, kind of coronated Kamala Harris, but made sure again to marry her to all of the very unpopular policies that were kind of contained within their administration. So he's doing it's very interesting how politicians will stab each other in the back while being nice and kind, but he is, quite frankly, sinking her political career right now. If Canadians are as upset with him as they appear to be, he has now married her intrinsically to all of the bad choices that he's made. Now, most Canadians would have married her, I think, instinctively because she was the finance minister, but he is definitely going out of his way to say, "We were like this."
And that she would take over one of the most important files that we will have to deal with.
No worries, I understand.
But she did not want to do that. As for details, I'm not one to share details of private
Spoke about
conversations.
the Liberal Party as an institution and the internal battles right now, but I'm wondering if you feel that another leader will have more success than you will at beating Pierre Poilievre in the next campaign.
Pierre Poilievre's vision for this country is not the right one for Canadians. Stopping the fight against climate change doesn't make sense. Backing off on the values and strength in diversity that Canada has always worked to pull itself together on is not the right path for the country. Attacking journalists, the CBC institutions, that's not what Canadians need in this moment.
Yes.
We need an
For a real Canadian take, follow Runkle. He is awesome. Runkle of the Bailey, if you haven't checked out his channel, he is a firearms attorney in Canada, or barrister. I don't know. I don't know what you call them. Like I said, totally ignorant, not even going to claim to understand things. But there you go. Runkle of the Bailey is your spot for understanding this from a Canadian perspective. There you go.
ambitious, optimistic view of the future, and Pierre Poilievre is not offering that. And I look forward to the fight as progressives across this country stand up for the kind of vision for a better country that Canadians have always. Tremendous pressures around the world to think smaller, to veer towards the hard right, and to be less.
It's not a veer towards the hard right. I'm telling you, I don't look at people left, right, or center. I look at the people who are with me at the Walmart looking at an $8 box of cereal or a $9 jug of orange juice. That's all I am. That's all I am. I don't align with any political party because I think they're all ignoring us. But doggone it. Let's be real. Climate change, anthropomorphic climate change has not been proven. The surveys that they use are incredibly small. And even the, co-founder of Greenpeace says that climatology is an incredibly multivariable and difficult thing to track. Thank you, Carolyn B, for your super chat. And no, mine are at home because I'm being held hostage by my, captors, and they're mean and they use all the dishes. Even measuring cups, y'all. I had to wash measuring cups because my children had used all the dishes, not clean them, have decided to use measuring cups as cups. I've outlost my ever-living mind. So thank you so much. That's all I want. I don't want far left, far right, far middle. I don't care. There's just a bajillion and 12 of us in the middle that just want things to be normal and to be left alone. Could we be left alone? Look, government, I don't like you. I don't trust you. I don't think you do great with our money. You leave me alone and I'll leave you alone. How about that?
Ambitious for what we
Ooh,
can
good
be and
idea.
do as a country when the world really needs Canada.
Yes.
Not an answer though. Yes or no? Is there another leader that could beat him?
Absolutely.
Sur le leader?
Oui.
Est-ce que vous
Pierre
pouvez
Poilievre.
élaborer en français, s'il vous plaît? Merci.
Pierre Poilievre a une vision
Pierre Poilievre
profondément
has
petite
a very
et
small
erronée pour ce pays.
vision and
Si même on accepte qu'il ait une
the wrong
vision,
vision for Canada. If we even
de
accept that he
reculer
has
sur
a
les droits
vision,
fondamentaux,
he wants to back off
d'arrêter
on fundamental
la
values,
défense de la lutte contre les changements climatiques,
wanting to stop the fight against climate change,
de ne pas investir dans une économie
refusing
ouverte,
to invest in a greener
inclusive,
and more inclusive
de
economy,
toujours chercher des divisions
trying
entre
to
les
divide
Canadiens plutôt que de
Canadians
rassembler
rather
pour
than
faire face à
uniting them
l'avenir
to face the
de façon
future
optimiste et
together
ambitieuse.
in an ambitious and
C'est
optimistic
pas le
way.
bon choix pour les
That is not the right choice for Canadians. And I'm looking forward to be part of a progressive movement that will seek out a better future for our country and for Canadians. An optimistic vision for Canadians. Hélène Busétier. Hello, Mr. Trudeau. 16 years ago, in December 2008, Stephen Harper prorogued Parliament to avoid a vote of non-confidence that he knew that he would lose because the three opposition parties would vote against him. It's the exact same situation that you find yourself in today. Stéphane Dion at the time had said, and I quote, that this was an affront to democracy. I'd like to know why what was bad for conservatives of Stephen Harper should be good for the Liberals of Justin Trudeau. The Governor General in 2008 had concluded, and correctly so, that the House had given formal confidence to Mr. Harper's government, despite a signed letter. This was a political document at the time. The voice of the House counts. So before stopping the work at the House over the holidays, we won 3 non-confidence votes. And so we're going to have to test the confidence of the House as of March to adopt the necessary budgetary credit so that the government can continue to function.
In 2008, the Governor General correctly concluded that because the very last times in the previous weeks that the confidence of the House had been tested, it had passed that confidence test, Stephen Harper continued to have the confidence of the House, and it actually would bear out because as soon as they came back from the prorogation, Stephen Harper won
Wiseness.
a confidence vote once again. So a political document or political speeches doesn't carry the kind of weight
I believe so.
that winning a confidence vote.
Could be the weather. Could be the weather. Mad Englishman, seeing as how I am computer and technologically, special needs, I am not sure. Possibly government regulations and or infrastructure tax. That would be my guess, but it could just be that they think us Americans have more money. Not a clue, but now I'm mad about that too. Dang it.
Means. But this prorogation will take us only into March, and there will be confidence votes in March in the passing of supply that will allow Parliament to weigh in on confidence in a way that is entirely in keeping with all the principles of democracy and the workings of our strong institutions.
With all due respect, isn't there something a little bit anti-democratic to suspend the possibility of the House of expressing their non-confidence while your party is looking for its savior? Shouldn't
you are welcome.
Shouldn't you call an election right now? Well, I think that as everyone in the press gallery,
So my understanding as to why medicine costs more in America is because we foot the bill for a lot of the research. So a lot of pharmacological research. We have Lilly, we have AstraZeneca, or maybe AstraZeneca is somewhere else. But we do have a lot of the research that U.S. pharmacological companies take on as, I guess just part of the, profit loss sort of gamble that they take on certain drugs. Although, big pharma, can we have a talk? I would like side effects that include, but are not limited to, six-pack abs, glossy hair, overnight extension like length grow with my hair, beautiful eyebrows, clear skin, my boobs to go back to what they looked like when I was 18. Could we ever have a side effect that isn't like, I will give you the trots, your left eye will cross, and you'll give up, the ability to see the letter F? Could we get some good side effects, please? Thank you so much.
Parliamentary Press Gallery knows the extent to which Parliament has been paralyzed now for several months.
Shalom. Thank you so much.
We are stuck on a question of privilege.
I did not know that.
There are constant obstructionist motions being presented, and we've accomplished very little over the past few months. The House of Commons needs a reset. People need to...
Actually, Bobby Baloney, to watch the corn in Indiana, you need to put in your driver's license. Now, I am assuming that everyone that is watching said corn in Indiana is using a VPN, because I am not giving the state of Indiana my driver's license to take care of some clam jam issues, okay? I need the government knowing what I watch for those particular occasions, like I need to be, tubined. So no.
Calm down and to get back to work for Canadians and
Well,
not
sort
play
of.
petty politics constantly. And this is what we're seeing on behalf of the Conservatives right now. So this reset has two elements. Prorogation, to begin with. This allows us to start over with a fresh, new approach at the Parliament. And secondly, the Liberal Party will begin the process to choose a new leader. And I expect that if I am not the one who will lead the party to the next elections, the polarization that we see right now at the House of Commons should also settle down. Canadians need a fully functioning Parliament, specifically during this complex period, and both elements will represent the reset that we need. In English,
I am
can you
learning all the
explain
things.
why you're not calling an election?
Parliamentary Press Gallery, and anyone who's been watching politics closely over the past months will know that Parliament has been entirely seized by obstruction and filibustering and a total lack of productivity over the past few months. We are right now the longest serving minority government in history, and it's time for a reset. It's time for the temperature to come down.
Sorry.
For the people to have a fresh start in Parliament, to be able to navigate through these complex times, both domestically and internationally. And the reset that we have is actually two parts. One is the prorogation, but the other part is recognizing that removing
I have
me
not
from the
checked on
equation
Captain
as
Kirk.
the leader who will fight the next election for the Liberal Party should also decrease the level of polarization that we're seeing right now in the House
Do not
and
headbutt the
in
cat.
Canadian politics,
Out.
and allow people to actually focus
I
on
don't care if he's
serving
headbutting you.
Canadians in this House and with their work the way Canadians deserve.
On va prendre une dernière question.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Stephanie Taylor with the National Post. Given, as you just said, there's going to be confidence votes in March, opposition parties have said they are prepared to bring down your government. What kind of chances do you think you are leaving to your successor, given that there will only be mere weeks for them?
I mean, what does the Canadian Broadcasting Company not have? Well, that would be a mom yelling at her son not to headbutt the cat, even though that cat is headbutting him. See, what does Fox News not have? I've got the hair. I'm not doing a skirt cam. But I also bring the spice of yelling at my youngest, most feral son to not headbutt the cat in a fight for dominance. Really, it's like David Attenborough over here.
Them to introduce themselves to Canadians before heading into an election, potentially.
I have a tremendous amount of confidence in both Canadians and in parliamentarians' interest in serving Canadians in the right way. There, um, we're in a minority government right now, and there hasn't been an active leadership in a minority government in more than 50 years in this country. And there is always going to be the challenge of having a leadership race while a parliament would face confidence votes in the course of delivering supply to the government. So this is something that we're going to navigate through, but I truly feel that removing the contention around my own continued leadership is an opportunity to bring the temperature down, have a government that will focus on the complex issues that are coming forward in the coming months, while the party gets to have a full
Thank
national
you, Tammy
process that
Fayette.
brings in people from right across the country and makes a determination about the best person to carry the progressive liberal standard into the next election.
Can you clarify whether ministers who would like to campaign for your job will have to step out of cabinet? And how can the Liberal government be in a position to protect Canadian businesses and Canadians from the threat of tariffs from incoming President Donald Trump when members of the government are going to be focused on who's going to be taking your job?
Truth.
The government will still, and the cabinet will still be very much.
Actually, I did. So I actually got shot glasses because they were on sale after Christmas. I've never actually bought shot glasses before. So I will drink to Justin leaving when he's done talking. I'm on prorogation for right now. I simply need time and a cruise, and I'm gonna see if the government will pay for it.
Focused on doing the job that Canadians elected us to do in 2021, which is fight for their interests, stand up for their well-being, and make sure that they are good and that Canadians are protected and strong. There will be a leadership process and the rules will unfold over the coming weeks, but I can
Oh,
assure you.
I have to go now. My son's house is in danger of being flooded. We have massive floods here in our town of Lincolnshire. Well, goodness, I hope that you are able to get them out safely and get as much out of the house. I know flooding is just absolutely a pain in the ever-living crotch to deal with. So I am sorry, and hopefully everyone is safe and the, cleanup process isn't hellish because I know that those are really hard to clean out.
That the tools and the need to stand up for Canadians, to protect Canadians in their interests and continue to fight for the economy is something that
That
everyone
is
in this
good.
government will be singularly focused on. Je peux souligner que
I hope so.
évidemment les règles et les
I can say
conditions du
that
leadership du Parti
the
libéral
rules and
And Dark Argyle, thank you for the $5 Canadian. I'm on catch up right now, but I'm willing to give you a 101 on the Canadian political system sometime. Thank you so much. Thank you, because it is rather confusing. I would say a better than average grasp on the American political system, but the parliamentary system is a bit out of my comfort zone. So thank you so much. That would be great because there are so many different factors that I'm having to learn, like prorogation and, the kind of conglomeration of different parties to create a coalition government. These are things that, I think we should all be more willing to learn. I am willing to tell you guys, I am a massive moron on Canadian politics. I wish people would be more willing to say, I'm not very smart on something, but I'm willing to learn. the world would be much better. Justin, sweetie, wherever you go, whatever you do, please promise to learn more, and please do it without shoe polish.
Conditions for the leadership of the Liberal Party will be discussed in the following weeks. The government that was elected to protect Canadians and their interests in a very complex world that was elected in 2021 will continue to work with a focus and a singular emphasis on working in the interest of Canadians, while the party itself does what's necessary in order to go through leadership process. Thank you.
Merci tout le monde. Merci d'être ici dans une belle journée d'Ottawa. Bonne journée.
And that is Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada and leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, announcing that he will not hold.
Okay, now this is an article. Stop, present, share screen. Because I was actually just getting ready to do a video, then I decided to go live with this because I did intend. I'm trying to, do at least my New Year's resolutions for at least the full second week of, the year. But let's see what the article has to say. And oh my God, stop your time watches, get your calendar out. New York Post has a video that is adjacent, in fact, is correctly related to the headline. This has never happened in my life. No one needs to check on Bryan Adams. I don't like him. If I never hear The Summer of '69 again, or that freaking whatever that song was for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, it will be too soon. It will be too soon. I am on the South Park thing. You guys have not apologized enough for Bryan Adams. This might be a controversial take. I love Alanis Morissette. I hope she's doing well, but Bryan Adams, I don't care. This is what's going to get me canceled. I hate Bryan Adams and Rod Stewart. Those are the two that I really just don't like. Embattled Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced Monday he's resigning after nearly a decade in office, following mounting calls for him to step down. The 53-year-old says he plans to stay on in his post until his ruling left Liberal Party chooses a replacement. Now, quote, I'm not going to read his quotes because we just listened to them, and honest, I don't know if I can do smug as well as he does. The announcement comes after embattled Trudeau was hit with a barrage of calls to quit in the recent weeks in the wake of a slew of alarming polls indicating dwindling support. Grim polling has shown that his party would badly lose to the opposing Conservative Party, led by Pierre Poilievre, in an election that was to be held by late October. Canada's Parliament, which was due to resume on the 27th, has been suspended or prorogued until March 24th, allowing the party to hold a leadership race, Trudeau said. Okay, I love Rush. Rush healed a lot of wounds. I'm not going to lie. Neil Peart leaving nearly ended me, but Rush saved a lot of Canadian, spirit in my heart. Let's see here. Trudeau has been in power since 2015 and has seen his popularity plummet in recent years over a range of issues, including spending and soaring costs of both food and housing. Calls for him to step down have also gained momentum after his former finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, abruptly quit last month. Calls for him to step down also gained momentum. Oh, I just read that. Her shocking resignation came after Trudeau tried to demote her when she pushed back against his proposals for more spending. Freeland penned a scathing letter accusing Trudeau of political gimmicks rather than focusing on what was best for Canada's economy. Now, the political upheaval too comes as Donald Trump is coming into office, and the threat of 25% tariffs on all products north of the border looms large. Trump, who has also consistently needled the Canadian Prime Minister since winning the US election, has threatened to impose tariffs on all Canadian products if Canada doesn't stem what the president elect calls a flow of migrants and drugs across the border. Now, Trudeau's the son of former Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, took over as the lefty leader back in 2013 when the party was in deep trouble and was reduced to third place in the House of Commons for the first time in history. He then propelled the Liberals to power in 2015 with the promise of quote unquote sunny ways and progressive agenda pushing women's rights and the fight against climate change. Trudeau went on to win re-election twice, becoming one of Canada's longest serving prime minister. So let me check any other, because that is New York Time. Sometimes different places will have different takes. So this is from USA Today. Let's just skim through it. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced Monday he intends to resign from his post. Let's see here. Calls for Trudeau to step aside have grown since December amid a series of polls showing his Liberal So it looks like they were kind of giving the same thing, although this article does say that according to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, there were 50 Liberal members of Parliament from Ontario, one of the most populous of the 10 provinces, that held a call December 21st to have Trudeau step down. So this is a bit of a bait and switch because he is not immediately stepping down. He is waiting until his party can find a leader, and then he will be stepping out then. Or from what I understand, then they will hold votes of no confidence, and then there will be a party because they've been voted no confidence. But that's the news. Justin Trudeau is stepping down. It looks like the Liberal Party will start to have a leadership, I guess, internal election. I'm not sure how you all do that, but that is what you guys have to look forward to. And then an election after that, I guess. Not quite sure, but it is breaking news. So there you go. Thank you guys for joining me. Look, let me win the presidency in 2028, and then we'll see how it goes. I've still got to get my, my vice president back on board. Bigfoot was very reluctant to join me this time, so I'm not sure how he's going to feel about 2028. But I will be running again with another catchy, catchphrase. Anyhoozle, I hope you guys have a great time. I will see you back here, well, in about 30 minutes because I will be finishing up my review of the latest Netflix John Benet Ramsey docuseries, and then I will be starting hopefully another docuseries that I will review, True Crime Way. And Shalom is going to tell me how things go. The ruling party's leader becomes the PM, so his party needs to have a leadership race. Awesome. I am learning so many good things. This is awesome. All right. I will see you guys in just a little bit. Have a great day. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for being patient with me when I know very little to less than nothing about Canadian politics. Bye, you guys.